Coming up in the next hour, I will do anything possible to strengthen the ECOWAS community, says President Akufo-Addo. Mahama selects Alex Mould as running mate for 2020 elections. Ghanaians' reaction to burn down boutique. Accra mall shops threaten closure over high rent. Aspect of the eco currency might encourage money laundering, says Mohammed Kodoyoma. ECG officially takes over from PDS. Nike CEO Mark Parker to step down in January. Ghana participates in Oman Economic, Industrial and Free Zone Summit 2019. Trudeau retains Canada's seat for a second term. MPs push Boris Johnson out of the Commons with his Brexit plan.
Hello viewers, you are live on the Aspra Network Television. My name is Seidu Hamdi and I'm bringing you the weekly recap. Now the news in details. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on Monday morning cut the saw to signify the beginning of construction works on the Obechebi-Lamte interchange in Accra.
Development of the Obechebi-Lamte circle in Accra into an interchange is to help ease traffic congestion on that corridor, which links Kaneshie, Graphic Road, Nkrumah Circle, and Mamprobi. The first phase consists of a two-tier interchange with storm drains and culverts beneath the Graphic Road. It will link the Kaneshie Market to the Central Business District of Accra and through a loop to the Kwame Nkrumah interchange area. The second phase involves the widening of the road into a three-lane dual carriageway with provision for bus rapid transit facilities. It will also see to the widening of the Awudome Cemetery and Nite-Kodin roads into dual carriage lanes, as well as improvement of the Kaneshie Market terminal.
The Republic President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says he will do anything possible on his part to strengthen the ECOWAS community to make it politically and economically strong.
The president welcomed the 2019 delegates for the 2019 International Conference of the Community Court of Justice. The event, which was held at the Menvik Hotel in Accra, Ghana, brought together different delegations from the ECOWAS countries.
By the invitation to address this event on a theme of such importance as economic integration of West Africa, challenges and prospects. In 2008, the first time I declared my intention to run for the high office of President of the Republic of Ghana, one of the four thematic goals of my campaign was the full engagement of our nation in the process of regional and continental integration. I remained committed to this goal in the years after 2008, and now more so than ever as president. So it was not difficult to accept to address this conference, especially as the invitation came from the Honorable Justice Edward Asante, the President of the Court, a Ghanaian. You're all welcome amongst the people famed for their sense of hospitality. Akwaba is our word of welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, nearly 7 decades ago, on the 9th of May 1950, A few nations of Europe, in response to a proposal from French Foreign Minister Robert Schuman, embarked on a new journey. When he made the proposal that has today led to the European Union, the European continent was just 5 years removed from the Second World War, a war that had broken the back of Europe and spilled the blood of so many, including some of our own. Monsieur Schuman knew that the European continent, that had taken the world to war twice in a generation, needed to turn its back on war and embrace peace and development. Aided by the highly innovative Marshall Plan that was launched by America, Europe was gradually rebuilding herself, but the fear remained that unless something extra was put in place, Europe would drift into war again. Today, the European Union has a market of 508 million people, or 7.3% of the world population, the Earth's third largest population after Asia and Africa, one currency, and the free movement of goods and services and people across 27 countries, albeit with the United Kingdom Brexiting soon.
In other news, the National Identification Authority has extended the registration period of the National ID card for 3 regions in the north. A release from the NIA on Monday said persons in the North, Savannah and Northeast regions have up to Wednesday, October 30, 2019 to enroll onto the National ID.
The NIA wrote in a statement that all prospective applicants are entreated to take advantage of the extension period to get registered. The statement reiterated that permanent NIA offices will be established at the regional, municipal and district levels by March 2020 to afford all Ghanaians who were not registered during the mass registration exercise the opportunity to get registered and be issued with a Ghana card. The mass registration of the Ghana card began on a regional basis in April this year and is expected to continue until all regions are covered. Registration in the Greater Accra, Volta and Oti regions has been completed. The government says the Ghana card will consolidate details on other national IDs like driver's license and the voter's ID into one database.
Now, the president of the country, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, has left Ghana as leader of the Ghanaian delegation to attend the Maiden Russia-Africa Summit being held in Sochi, Russia.
Whilst in Russia, President Akufo-Addo is expected to hold bilateral meetings with the President of the Russian Federation, His Excellency Vladimir Putin, deliver a statement on the floor of the summit on the theme for peace, security and development, and hold meetings with CEOs of some important Russian enterprises. The President will leave Russia on Thursday, 24th October 2019, to attend the 18th Non-Allied Movement Conference being held in Baku, Azerbaijan. NAM is a forum of 120 developing world states that are not formally aligned with or against any major power bloc. After the United Nations, it is the largest grouping of states worldwide. The president was accompanied by the Member of Parliament and Minister for Foreign Affairs Shirley Ayoko-Boche, the Minister for Energy John Peter Amewu, and officials of the Presidency and Foreign Ministry.
Now, former President John Dramani Mahama, who is busily campaigning for a comeback in 2020, is reported to have finally picked former Chief Executive Officer of Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Alex Mould, as his running mate.
It has been gathered that former Chief Executive Officer of Ghana National Petroleum Corporation (GNPC), Alex Mould's name came up for the appointment at a very close meeting on October 22nd, 2019 and would be announced later. But sources close to Mr. Mahama says he was relaxed when settling on the former Chief Executive Officer of Ghana National Petroleum Corporation (GNPC's) Alex Mould as his running mate for election 2020.
Now, we all have our individual preferences. Some may prefer the boutique style of shopping, whilst others would rather prefer the second-hand boutique, popularly known as Force Line or bend-down boutique for their shopping. DNT's Evelyn Frimpong delves into this and has filed this report.
A boutique is a shop or a department in a store where fashionable, usually expensive clothes and other articles, accessories are sold. With Force Line or bend-down boutique, the clothes are spread on the ground and customers would have to bend down to do their selection, hence the name bend-down boutique. Also, the dresses are either laid on tables under tents or in a very confined store. Some also go around with the things either on their heads, whilst some also hang them on their hand to sell. Many consider boutique clothes to be out of good quality as compared to the bend-down boutique. But after going round and seeking people's views on the matter, DNT News discovered the opposite from Vanessa.
I go for Force dresses because they are unique. When I'm wearing Force dress, I won't see it that someone is also wearing the same thing. But the boutique, you see it all around, people wearing it up and down. That's why I patronize Force products more than boutique.
Whilst boutique clothes are tried on by many people, Force Line or the bend-down boutique is usually not like that. This is due to the fact that sometimes getting a place to change is a problem, so you are left with no other choice than to take it away without trying it on.
Okay, for boutique, I would say, for me, my side, the dresses are quality more than the Force. Because the Force, it's assumed they've already been used. They've been used before they'll bring it here, then sell it at a cheap price. But Force is good, it's good, but me, I prefer boutique. Everyone needs a choice. Maybe you prefer Force or another person prefer boutique. Not that maybe you don't have money or someone can buy Force, but the person have money more than the person entering the boutique. Yeah.
Some Force sellers shared their ordeal with DNT News.
Because Force, all those boutiques, they are going to the place we are buying to buy and sell. So because of their own is their shop, that's why people think our own is local or not. If you know, so our own and their own is the same thing. So if we can buy something here and sell it cheap, all those ones where we buy for we sell it cheap. If you go that place, you can buy it cost. Are you getting me? So Force is nice. New one is nice, but I prefer.
Now, moving on, the Inspector General of Police, James Opon Bueno, has issued a directive that intends to check on professional police misconduct in the country.
Police officers have been ordered to dissociate themselves from all forms of harassment on Ghanaian roads, which is good news for the Ghanaian transit trade, which has been saddled by police harassment on transit truck drivers who ply the Ghanaian transit corridor. And although several efforts have been initially put in place by the Joint Corporation of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, the Ghana Shippers Authority and Borderless Alliance to eliminate the practice, the phenomenon is reported to persist. The president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Kwabena Ofosu Appiah, said the new directive to check police indiscipline is admirable, but feared that, like many other past interventions, its impact would dissipate over time. He called for a robust mechanism to ensure that enforceability of such directives lead to the desired result. Over time, what level of introspection has been done? What mechanism is in place for constant evaluation? Otherwise, it will be like other directives that we heightened and fizzles out over time.
Now, barring any unforeseen intervention, shops in Accra Mall were shut down on Thursday as owners of the shops in the country's premier mall protest what they described as unreasonable high rent and poor services. The shop owners said the shop owners closed down their shops from morning to afternoon to drive home their demand to rebate as ongoing repair works bite hard on sales and take a more drastic decision if the management of the mall fail to reason with them.
The shop owners alleged that efforts to get the managers of the mall broke Ghana to renegotiate their rent because of ongoing repairs, which was affecting sales, had fallen on deaf ears. The management is not willing to listen to the genuine concerns of tenants. They are now scaffolding all over the place, repairing the damage to the roof a year after part of it collapsed. Lawyer for the tenants, Dr. Maurice Ankra, told the media parts of the ceiling of the Accra Mall collapsed on October 11, 2018, causing injury to 3 shoppers. Although no fatalities were recorded, apart from 3 shoppers who managers of the facility said sustained minor injuries, it triggered safety concerns from visitors and shoppers who became alarmed over the probability of something similar happening in the future. The incident, Dr. Ankra said, had shrunk the number of shoppers visiting the mall over structural integrity concerns, but managers of the mall had done little to allay the fears of the public, only to come and erect scaffolds all over.
Now that's all for the local front. Business is up next. In our first business news, the Ghana government and the Millennium Challenge Corporation have agreed on a December 31 deadline for the establishment of a new power concession.
This revelation follows the termination of the concessionaire agreement between Ghana Government and Power Distribution Services Limited on Saturday, October 19, 2019. In a letter explaining the reasons behind the termination of the controversy-ridden contract, the Finance Ministry revealed that there has been a meeting between the CEO of MCC, Sean Cairncross, and President Adodankwa Akufo-Addo in New York, with an understanding that a new concession will be executed within existing timelines and in any event before December 31, 2019. It is worth recalling that following this understanding, Mr. Cairncross and President Akufo-Addo shook hands and committed to expeditiously putting the understandings into effect. The letter signed by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, stated, the government said it is committed to seeing through a private sector participation in a manner that respects due process and fidelity to the relevant transaction document and underlying compacts.
Now, a deputy minister at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Kennedy Nyakwose, has revealed that Ghana is working around the clock to cease the importation of rice in the country on the recent rejections. According to him, the government is already working hard to ensure that rice comes to an end by the year 2022.
Minister's revelation follows the success chalked as the country increased local maize production, avoiding its importation between January and September this year. Speaking in an interview, Kennedy Nyakwose said, we import $1 billion of rice into the country, but the Agric Ministry led by Dr. Owusu-Afriyie Akoto is determined that by the end of 2022, we will stop importing rice from other countries based on our projections. He said the 2 crops his ministry is focusing on are rice and soya, explaining that soya because of the poultry industry and rice because of import substitution.
In other news, the head of Intelligence and Investigation Department of Freetown Immigration, Mohammed Kodoyoma, said the approved eco currency to be in circulation coming January 2020 might encourage money laundering in the region.
It is no longer news that beginning January 2020, countries within the West African sub-region will be able to use a single currency called ECO. The currency was adopted by the authority of ECOWAS heads of state and government on Saturday in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The West African leaders endorsed the currency at their 55th ordinary session and approved a roadmap towards the currency's issuance in January 2020. There was a roadmap to ensure that all member countries meet 3 primary criteria for the adoption of the currency. That includes member countries having a budget deficit of not more than 3%, average annual inflation of less than 10%, with a long-term goal of not more than 5% by 2019. DNT's Tofik Abdul Nasser in an up-close conversation with Mohamed Kodoyoma at the ongoing Economic Integration of the West Africa Changes and Prospects Conference revealed that though introduction of the new currency might encourage money laundering, but the ECOWAS Commission would put checks on that to prevent it.
Yeah. So don't you think it's going to encourage money laundering?
There are aspects of it. That's why we have the ECOWAS Commission itself. There are various divisions within the Commission itself. Divisions that deal with such aspects. People have seen all of this. That's why, in fact, it's taking such a long period for its, actualization. But they are dealing with it. So whatever happens, they must set the record straight on that one.
The Sierra Leone diplomat added that the eco currency has been long overdue, but explained that the commission took time to commission the currency to ensure there are no lapses. Member state countries are expected to also have gross reserves that can finance at least 3 months of imports. The other convergence criteria that have been adopted by ECOWAS are public debt or gross domestic product of not more than 70%. There is also the issue of central banks financing budget deficits not more than 10% of previous year's tax revenue and nominal exchange rate variation of plus or minus 10%.
Ahead in a more dignified manner.
All right. Let's talk about the eco currency that we'll be using starting from January. What is your take on that?
Well, it has been long delayed, but it takes time to see that things can happen, because once it's happened, it becomes permanent, and we have to ensure that once it sets on the floor, there are no gaps, because sometimes when you rush to do things, then there are gaps and everything runs down as they establish it. So we have to ensure that things move in a more coordinated fashion. That's why it's called a coordinated community.
Now, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says Ghana is on course to become a major exporter of power in the West African sub-region following the commencement of exports of electricity to Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso joins Togo, Côte d'Ivoire and Benin as the West African countries that Ghana regularly exports electricity to. But speaking at the third ECOWAS Sustainable Energy Forum in Accra, the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, stated that government has set its sights on power exports to countries such as Niger and Mali. Ghana has also expanded the reach of exporting power to the regional bloc to improve the socio-economic conditions of our neighbors. Apart from power exports to Togo and Benin, we have also started affordable and reliable electricity to Burkina Faso, the Vice President revealed. According to Dr. Bawumia, Ghana is undertaking great expansions which would allow further exports to other neighboring countries in the sub-region, including those in Sahelian regions such as Niger and Mali.
Now, in international business, California's governor has asked the Attorney General to investigate why the state's gas prices are so high, pointing to a new report suggesting big oil companies are misleading and overcharging customers by as much as $1 per gallon.
Named brand retailers including 76, Chevron and Shell often charge more because they say their gasoline is of higher quality. But a new analysis from the California Energy Commission could not explain the price difference, concluding there is no apparent difference in the quality of gasoline at retail outlets in the state. The commission said California drivers paid an average of 30 cents more per gallon in 2018, with the difference getting as high as $1 per gallon in April of this year. The result is California drivers paid an additional $11.6 billion at the pump over the last 5 years.
Now, wrapping up with business, Nike said that its longtime CEO, Mark Parker, is stepping down early next year. He will be replaced by board member John Donahoe, who formerly ran e-commerce company
on the rise as
Parker will become executive chairman of the board.
Nike sales have been on the rise as the company focuses on selling more of its swoosh branded sneakers online and on its apps. The company's first quarter earnings last month soared past expectations, but Nike has also been plagued by scandals recently. 3 weeks ago, renowned track coach Alberto Salazar was banned from the sport for 4 years by the U.S. anti-doping agency for running experiments with supplements and testosterone that were bankrolled and supported by Nike, along with possessing and trafficking testosterone. Nike announced that it was shutting down its Elite Oregon Project track and field program overseen by Salazar in the wake of the scandal.
Now, the Diaspora News is coming up next after this quick break. Please stay.
Hello, my name is Jermaine Nkrumah. For decades, leaders in Ghana have been complaining about brain drain, referring to the mass exodus of Ghanaians from home to foreign lands. Lately, however, that brain drain has actually evolved into what many refer to as brain gain. In other words, Ghanaians all over the world are ready to come home with their newly acquired skills to help with national development. In fact, here at DNT, we insist that there is nothing that Ghana needs done towards her development that she cannot find a Ghanaian to do, be they at home or somewhere in foreign lands. The question is there a role for Ghanaians in the diaspora to play towards Ghana's development? Furthermore, what are the measures in place to make it possible and easy for Ghanaians abroad to come home to help with national development? Join me every Saturday at 9 a.m. as I engage Ghanaians at home and abroad to deal with topical and relevant issues regarding how Ghanaians abroad get to participate in nation building at home. My name is Jermaine Nkrumah, and this is Diaspora Weekly.
Are you expecting money from your relations abroad? Have you ever been defrauded of your money remittance? Open an ADB account today. Send your name and your account number to your relations abroad. Ask them to use MoneyGram direct to account service and receive your money in your account in minutes. With MoneyGram direct to account service, there's no PIN code wahala. You can now access your money on all ATMs in Ghana or send it to any mobile money wallet using ADB mobile banking app or shortcode *767#. Visit our branches nationwide to conveniently receive your Western Union, MoneyGram, RIA, UnityLink, Transfast, and Express Money transfers. Reach us on our Facebook, website, or call our hotline on 0302 210 210 for more information. ADB, truly agri and more.
Welcome back. Now, the CEO of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Michael Ochri-Befi, is currently in Oman participating in the two-day Oman Economic, Industrial and Free Zone Summit 2019 at the Convention and Exhibition Center, Muscat.
Michael Ochri-Befi received the invitations from a high reputable industry key player for his overwhelming performance over the years. It is instructive to note that companies operating under the free zones enclave exported goods valued at $1.4 billion in the first 9 months of last year, as against their total imports of $113.1 million within the same period. The Free Zones Act 1995 Act 504 makes it mandatory for the companies to export a minimum of of 70% of their products as part of measures to stimulate industrialization under an import substitution regime. The summit is hosted by ITHRA and Free Zone Watch in partnership with Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry and organized by Free Zone Watch and DAM Special Economic Zone Authority on the theme A Diversified Hub for Logistics and Industry. This summit is the premier industry-focused event in the Sultanate where corporate decision makers from around the world gain unrivaled insight and access to investment opportunities, primarily in the free zones, special economic zones, and industrial estates.
Now, in other news, State of the African Diaspora has scheduled to hold the Diaspora Politics and Business Summit in French capital, Paris, on Thursday, October 24 this year.
The program will be held between the hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Hundreds of Africans and people around the world are expected to attend and participate in the event, which seeks to encourage the diaspora involvement in Africans' businesses. The State of the African Diaspora program will see to the launch of the European Parliament of the African Diaspora, launch of the ECOSIS region of Africa, and launching of the State of the African Diaspora Chamber of Commerce. The same event will also allow participants to meet the Council of Ministers of the Diaspora, Panama Expocama 2020 Trade Mission, and discussion of the diaspora investment in agriculture.
Now, a government delegation from the British Virgin Islands, led by Deputy Prime Minister Vincent Whitley, have called on His Excellency Papa Owusu-Ankoma, Ghana's High Commission to the UK, for discussion of matters they deemed beneficial to the economic development of Ghana and the British Virgin Islands.
As part of the discussions, Deputy Prime Minister Vincent Whitley highlighted the Virgin Islands' intention to strengthen its political, economic, and cultural ties with Ghana and Africa generally, and in line with that objective, an Africa Trade Mission is being considered and Ghana will be in the spotlight due to the Year of Return, which has been effectively championed by the President. The economy of the British Virgin Islands is fueled by tourism and financial services. The Deputy Prime Minister noted formidable areas for collaboration between Ghana and the BVI, especially as the population of the islands is mainly of African descent. Vincent Whitley disclosed that the BVI's current Attorney General is a Ghanaian, Baba Aziz, and welcomed the idea of the establishment of a visa-free regime between the two countries. His Excellency Papa Owusu-Ankoma expressed his pleasure at the idea of a visa-free regime, emphasizing Ghana's role as the host of the African diaspora globally. He agreed with the Premier that the two countries could forge a mutually beneficial relationship, especially in the financial sector, as Ghana seeks to become the financial hub of Africa. The Deputy Prime Minister paid a visit in the company of Elise Donovan, CEO, British Virgin Islands Finance, Sobeyan Flax, Cultural and Social Officer, London Office, and Tracy Bradshaw, Management Officer at the London Office.
That's all for the Diaspora News. World News is coming up now. Now, in our first world news, Monday night results of elections in Canada saw Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party retaining power in a narrow Canadian election win, but he will now be Prime Minister of a minority government.
Elections turnout is currently listed at 65%. The Liberals are projected to win 156 seats, 14 short of a majority, and will find it harder to pass legislation in Trudeau's second term. The opposition, Conservatives, is expected to win the popular vote, but have not translated that into seats. They are projected to win 122, up from the 95 they held before, although the results saw a sharp decline in seats for the country's left-leaning New Democratic Party, NDP. Its leader, Jagmeet Singh could become the kingmaker. The NDP is projected to take 24 seats in the 333-seat parliament. Quebec's separatist party, the Bloc Québécois, which competes only in that province, fared much better. It is expected to take 32 seats compared to the 10 it won in 2015. The federal election was seen as a referendum on Justin Trudeau, who endured a bumpy first term tainted by scandal. US President Donald Trump has already congratulated Prime Minister Trudeau in a Twitter post saying, "Congratulations to Justin Trudeau on a wonderful and hard-fought victory. Canada is well served. I look forward to working with you towards the betterment of both our countries."
In other news, the national government and several major groups have signed a new peace agreement that will open humanitarian aid routes into areas cut off by insurgency conflicts for the past 8 years.
The new agreement was signed in South Sudan. It included rebel groups from Darfur, the Nuba Mountains, and the Blue Nile region. Khartoum government declared permanent ceasefire in all three areas just last week. The transitional government of Sudan assumed office in August following the ousting of President Omar al-Bashir by the military government. The government of Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok has vowed to reunite the country, and there are hopes that the commitment of the government could yield some positive outcome.
Now, members of Parliament in the British House of Commons have once again rejected Prime Minister Boris Johnson's new Brexit plan for a second time after it was first voted against on Saturday when it was first presented to the House.
Boris Johnson is likely to push for a general election if the EU proposes to delay Brexit until January 2020. Boris Johnson paused his Brexit bill on Tuesday after MPs rejected his plan to get it signed off in 3 days. Now EU leaders will consider whether to grant a delay to the 31st October Brexit deadline and what length it should be. Prime Minister Johnson was forced by law to send a letter to the bloc after failing to secure backing for his deal on Saturday, calls for a 3-month extension. Justice Secretary Robert Buckland said it was undeniably frustrating to have lost the programme motion, which would have given MPs 3 days to scrutinise the plans. Buckland added that a no-deal Brexit was still a real possibility if the EU chose not to extend the deadline past 31st October. Shadow Justice Secretary Richard Burgon has also said Labour would agree to a general election if the EU granted an extension because it meant a no-deal Brexit would certainly be off the table. Burgon said holding a referendum first, as suggested by some of his Labour colleagues, was fantasy politics. On Tuesday, MPs approved the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement bill on its first hurdle through the Commons and called the second reading by 329 votes to 299. Minutes later, Boris Johnson was defeated by a majority of 14 in the second vote on the fast-tracked timetable for the bill, prompting him to pause his legislation. The Prime Minister insisted to MPs it was still his policy that the UK should leave the EU on Halloween, but acknowledged he would have waited to hear what EU leaders said.
Now that's all for the world news. Let's move on to entertainment. In our first entertainment news, President of the Creative Arts Council, Mark Okrekumante, has visited China to meet with leaders of film industries at the Silk Road International Film Festival.
The film festival is held annually under the guidance of the Film Board of China. President of the Ghana Creative Arts Council, Mark Okrekumante, will showcase the rich history of Ghana films and the opportunities available to investors. He is also expected to establish networks needed to create a friendly working relationship between the Ghana film industry and the China film industry. He will as well be partaking in a number of activities, including a launching ceremony, award ceremony, film screening, film forum, film market, and cultural activities. The Silk Road International Film Festival happening in Fuzu will provide an international platform for film exchange and trade needed to foster film, television, and other related industries.
Moving on, lawyer for the CEO of Miss Commonwealth Beauty Pageant has condemned reports that their visit to a shrine in Koforidua was to ascertain who stole a missing 500 cedis.
A former contestant, Nana Ama Essien, had claimed that she had been sent to a fetish priest and was tortured after she was found guilty of stealing the money. However, the lawyer Michael Donko revealed in an interview that the team had completely different reasons going to Koforidua. He stated that it was because Nana Ama Essien has reported a mobile money PIN code was changed, phone was missing, and SIM card that she said she found on the floor chewed by someone, and threatening messages according to Nana Ama she had received. Mr. Donko added that the narration of events by Nana Ama Essien, who had accused the pageant organizers and a fetish priest of abuse, are riddled with lies. He stated that his client, Princess Duncan, had no knowledge she and the girls were going to a shrine. According to my client, it was after a meeting was held that one organizer by name Isaac suggested he knows a place in Koforidua where they use eggs to ascertain who had committed a crime, he said. He stated that Nana Ama Essien's uncle had gone to a shrine to reveal that the winner, Gloria Obenyako, had stolen her phone, chewed her SIM card, and sent her threats to which the team needed to find answers to.
Now that's all for entertainment. Let's move on to sports. Now, Ghana has once again failed to secure a place at the African Nations Championship finals following a 0-0 away draw with Burkina Faso on Sunday.
The home-based Black Stars, fresh from finishing second at the Wafu Cup of Nations earlier this month, held their own to keep the Stallions from scoring in the final round second leg fixture in Ouagadougou. The 1-0 loss in the first leg at home, however, proved decisive as it ensured a 1-0 aggregate win for Burkina Faso. The match interestingly comes 2 weeks after the two outfits settled for a 1-1 draw in the quarterfinals of the Wafu Cup of Nations, where Ghana went on to win 5-4 in a penalty shootout en route to the final. It is the second time in a row coach Maxwell Kunedu's outfit are denied a place at the CHAN by Burkina Faso following a similar situation in 2018 tournament qualifiers in 2017. Again, Sunday's disappointment means the Black Stars have to wait for another 2 years to earn a possible return to the championship, having failed to qualify since 2014.
Now, the newly elected executives of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana has been sworn into office at the Media Center of the Accra Sports Stadium.
The 7-member executives with Kwabena Yeboah as president will serve for the next 4 years. Maurice Kwanzaa, who is the editor of Graphic Sports, is the vice president, while Rosalind Amo holds the position as the treasurer. Charles Osei serves as general secretary with Thomas Boache Ajiman as deputy general secretary. Ohene Brenya Bampo and Otuo Ichampong occupy the two executive members' position.
Now that's all for this week's recap. My name is Seidu Hamdi. I'm on your way again next weekend for your weekly recap. Enjoy your weekend.